Authorities in the United States say they've arrested a man accused of killing right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk. They say one of the suspect's own family members helped turn him into police. Kirk was shot and killed on Wednesday while speaking at a university campus in Utah. We are muting the name of the suspect in the following report, in keeping with German media guidelines.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
It was the news America had been waiting for. In the end, the suspect's own father reportedly provided the breakthrough.
I cannot speak to that. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
Prior to his arrest, images of the suspect had been shared with the media, in the hope that the public could help provide answers. Investigators received more than 11,000 tips in the 33 hours it took to identify their man.
The suspect was apprehended in a historic time period. And I want to highlight what Governor Cox said. This would not have been possible without you, the media, and you, the public. That's why we went so public, so fast, and we're so transparent, and we're committed to that transparency.
Kirk was gunned down on Wednesday while addressing a large crowd at Utah Valley University. An anti-fascist slogan was inscribed on an unused bullet casing found inside the abandoned murder weapon. While the killer's motive is not yet known, President Trump, who credited Kirk with inspiring young conservative voters, has already called for swift punishment.
I hope he's going to be found guilty, I would imagine, and I hope he gets the death penalty.
Kirk's widow, Erica, spoke of her husband's friendship with the president.
Mr. President, my husband loved you. And he knew that you loved him too. He did. Your friendship was amazing. You supported him so well, as did he for you.
Formal charges against the suspect are expected early next week.
And for more, let's go to Tyson Barker, a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council. Tyson, good to have you with us. What does the killing of a 31-year-old right-wing influencer and staunch supporter of Donald Trump tell us about the political divide in the US?
Well, it's clearly a symptom of the polarization that has been increasing in the United States and the wall between speech and political violence that has been eroding. The reaction of the public has been mixed, but I would say the overwhelming majority is a retrenchment around the idea of freedom of speech as being essential to the American identity on all sides. That is not always shared, obviously. Some have been recriminating one side over the other, and we've seen that with President Trump himself. But generally, Charlie Kirk was a public actor, a public intellectual in some ways, sometimes a polemicist, but somebody who drove discussion and debate in a way that is consistent with American values.
Now, his wife, Charlie Kirk's widow, gave a statement. We heard a little clip of that in our report. And she was saying that her husband's killer has, quote, no idea what you've unleashed across this entire country. She even depicted her message as a battle cry. How concerned are you that some might hear this as a call for more violence?
That's really the trap of the situation, and the tragedy of this kind of political violence is that it can create a self-perpetuating flywheel. It's been clear over the past 15 years from the attempted assassination of Gabby Giffords, a Democratic congresswoman from Arizona, over the attempted assassination of Steve Scalise, the two attempted assassinations of President Trump himself, and of course the killing over the summer of the lawmakers from Minnesota, that this kind of wall between the political process that takes place in peaceful discourse, even if it becomes incendiary in some cases, and actual political violence is increasing. And, what is really called upon for public leaders, especially elected leaders, and we can understand the emotion that she has in this moment. I mean, she's in a very raw state, but is to turn down the temperature and to call for cohesion, because really, you don't want to see violence on either side, and there is that risk.
How do you then view the role of the US president? We also heard in the report that Trump called for the death penalty for the shooter if convicted. How is his tone influencing the political discourse right now?
Clearly he has and has a personal relationship with Charlie Kirk and his family. He was instrumental, as was the Trump family, in his rise, recognizing this unique political talent as a part of his movement. But his public statement in the immediately after the assassination was inconsistent. It was very different from his predecessors, and different from the rhetoric of the governor of Utah, as we saw, who said that this kind of violence he took it out of an ideological context and said that generally this relationship between rhetoric and violence needs to be de-escalated. The president himself has escalated the rhetoric, and as we see in the United States, that has the danger of perpetuating more actual violence.
Now, if we take a step back from a global perspective, who might stand to gain from increased polarization within the United States?
I mean, I think that this is something that observers and political economists and academics have recognized for 10 years, basically since 2015. That the greatest national security and political risk for the United States and its role as a global actor has been domestic, and it has been the erosion of social cohesion in the fabric of American democratic life and society. So, the more that the United States is turned inward on itself and directing its energy at each other, the less it's able to act as a consistent actor in the service of its values internationally.
Well, Tyson Barker there, non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council. Thank you so very much for that.
Thank you.
And for more, I'm joined by Jayson Campadonia. He's a news director for NBC News Radio and iHeartMedia in Los Angeles. Welcome to DW. Good to have you with us, Jayson. So authorities have a suspect now after a long manhunt, bearing in mind that we can't use his full name under German media law. What's known about him and any possible motives?
We know that he is 22 years old. We know that he was a pretty straight-laced kid, from what we understand. Good grades, even got a scholarship into college, although he only stayed one semester at the college, which we don't know why he dropped out or decided not to go or whatever. We don't know any more about that. We know that he grew up in a fairly conservative household, Mormon faith. And recently, some family members have now come out and reportedly told the FBI that he had become more interested in politics as of late, and started becoming more boisterous about his feelings about politics and about the way the Trump administration was weighing in on certain things, leaning more towards the left of the aisle versus the right side of the aisle where he allegedly grew up. And that's really all we know about this guy. We do know that he might have been a video gamer, online gamer, due to some of the messages that were on the unspent cartridges in the murder weapon that was found. So it seems like he was a fairly good kid. And FBI is saying that he might have just been radicalized as of late.
Now, he's not convicted yet. He's still a suspect. So what happens to him next?
Well, he's going to spend the weekend in jail behind bars. I'm sure that they are asking every question under the sun because now the reason is, okay, why? Why did you do this? Why did you feel that it was necessary to go to these lengths to kill somebody for disagreeing with you? Was there some sort of personal vendetta? Like, all of these questions are going to be asked. over the next 48 to 36 hours or 36 to 48 hours. So and then next week he'll be able to enter a plea, either guilty or not guilty, and then we kind of go from there. It'll be up to the local district attorney to file charges. I'm sure federal charges will be filed at some point as well. And then President Trump was on Fox News and said that he hopes that they get the death penalty. And here's kind of a fun fact about Utah, the state of Utah. They still can use a firing squad. So there's some talk about that.
All right. Well, emotions are certainly running high. We also, in this report, just heard Kirk's widow, who has spoken for the first time since her husband's death. What did she have to say?
She talked a lot about God. Charlie was a man of faith. She is a woman of faith. So there was a lot of God talk. There was a lot of President Trump talk. And there was a lot of the relationship between Charlie and President Trump was a strong one. Charlie had some friends in high places as far as politics goes, and she thanked all of her supporters. She also said something that I thought was kind of interesting, that, she referenced they. We're not exactly sure who she means when she says they, but she says, you've killed him to try and silence him, but now you've unleashed something that you don't understand. And obviously she's probably mentioned, trying to talk about the shift in politics in America and things of that nature. But I just found that really interesting. But she held back tears the entire time, very strong. She showed her strength because this is something that her kids will eventually watch, and the historians will see. So she really, as an outsider looking in, I thought she presented herself very, very well, very strong, and as a very doting wife who loved her husband.
All right, Jayson Campadonia, news director for NBC News Radio and iHeartMedia in Los Angeles. Jayson, thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.